put into that office who is going to see what is happening, Mr. Speaker. So whether she omitted, Mr. Speaker, acting, or she committed by acting directly, Mr. Speaker, she is guilty as charged. Then, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I would like to quote what the Supreme Court judges gave as an authority. And they have quoted Wambora here, Mr. Speaker. What they should know is that the Wambora case has been vacated. It's no longer an authority, Mr. Speaker, to be quoted anywhere, leave alone by senior counsels, Mr. Speaker. They need to know that, Mr. Speaker. The authority that we can rely on is the Sonko case, because that one went to the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker. And it has learned that any other ruling on impeachment, Mr. Speaker, dead law. And Mr. Speaker, the honorable judges of the Supreme Court ruled as follows, Mr. Speaker. The removal of a governor is both a constitutional and a political process. The mandate of the courts is restricted by the doctrine of separation of powers to determine whether individual rights, dignity, and fundamental freedoms have been preserved and protected in the process without usurping the powers and functions of the legislative branch of government. During the process of removal, the right to fair administrative action under the Article 47 and the right to fair hearing under Article 50 of the Constitution all accrue to the governor. And then 7 says, Mr. Speaker, 7, Mr. Speaker, the removal of a governor relates to accountability, political governance, and personal responsibility, and is not necessarily about criminal responsibility and capability, Mr. Speaker. The grounds for impeachment and removal from office must be substantiated. The standard of proof is immediate. That is above a balance of probability, but below all reasonable doubt. Below all reasonable doubt. And the proof of any one of those charges is sufficient to discharge the burden of proof. So, Mr. Speaker, unlike them, whenever, Mr. Speaker, whenever we are referring to authorities, Mr. Speaker, to impeachment, to always remind ourselves that Governor Sonko and Governor Waititu were removed from office, Mr. Speaker. And the Governor Sonko case is the authority that can be relied on, Mr. Speaker, because it's going to guide the courts. If this House goes ahead and impeaches the governor, and the Senate does that, and the governor goes to court, this is what will guide the process. We are standing here guided, Mr. Speaker. We cannot, Mr. Speaker, pretend that we are not subject to that Supreme Court ruling, Mr. Speaker. I want to end, Mr. Speaker, there by urging this Honorable House to look at these, Mr. Speaker, issues, the generality of them, the summary of them all, Mr. Speaker. They are so gross, Mr. Speaker, and, Mr. Speaker, that they have to be relied upon by the members when deciding to impeach the governor. And